In the brutal submarine campaigns of the Pacific War, the Gatto-class USS Wahoo stood entirely apart. Under the command of Lieutenant Commander Dudley Mush Morton, the boat and its crew pushed the limits of how a submarine could hunt. Over the course of just a few patrols, the Wahoo claimed more than 20 Japanese ships, sending over 60,000 tons of enemy cargo to the bottom. They outpaced entire flotillas by taking the fight directly into the enemy's backyard. Looking at this map of the Sea of Japan, you can see why hunting here was so dangerous. It is a vast enclosed basin, bordered on nearly all sides by hostile land. For a submarine, that geography dictates a rigid set of rules. There are only 3 ways in or out: the Soya, Tsugaru, and Tsushima Straits. If you want to hunt in the basin, you have to cross one of these narrow thresholds. By October 1943, the Wahoo was operating deep inside this basin, racking up kills. But Japanese intelligence was tracking radio intercepts and plotting the attacks. Inside the basin, Morton's position was certain. With every attack, he drew the enemy closer to the only 3 points where he could possibly hope to cross back into the open Pacific. Morton achieved his kill counts by throwing out the traditional submarine playbook. Instead of relying on submerged stealth, he preferred to attack at night, on the surface, using the Wahoo's 20-knot top speed to charge directly into enemy convoys before escorts could react. This aggressive approach carried immense collateral costs. During an attack on the transport Buyol Maru, the crew fired on lifeboats they believed held armed soldiers. The incident left over 280 men dead, including a large number of Indian prisoners of war. By the fall of 1943, the Japanese military shifted its strategy. Realizing that hunting the Wahoo in open water was difficult, command began rerouting shipping traffic and shifting their forces to heavily fortify the 3 exit straits. Morton's notoriety had become his greatest liability. To get home, the crew would have to navigate a narrow corridor where the defenders were already at battle stations. On the morning of October 11th, the Wahoo attempted to slip through the Soya Strait, a 25-mile-wide corridor plagued by fast, swirling currents. The currents in the strait can drag a submerged boat off course. The crew attempted to cross at periscope depth to maintain their bearings, but the fast water betrayed them, exposing a highly visible wake trailing behind the periscope shears. A Japanese float plane patrolling the strait spotted the disturbance. The pilot identified the shadow of the hull and dropped a payload of 2 aerial bombs directly onto the target. Immediately, shore batteries on Cape Soya opened fire. The float plane radioed for surface support, and a net of auxiliary minesweepers and subchasers moved in, dropping tight patterns of depth charges into the shallow water. Then, the sea went silent. Through the afternoon, Japanese patrols reported drifting oil and debris, but no further movement. No distress signals broke through the radio static. The ambush erased the Wahoo from the map. It left American command with no survivors, no final transmission, and a dark mystery that would remain buried at the bottom of the strait for over 60 years. In 2006, an international expedition finally located the hull. The boat rests upright at 213 feet, precisely where the Japanese logs said it went down. The state of the wreck acts as a forensic audit of the final minutes. The pressure hull remained unbroken, which rules out a deep water implosion. The keel and bow showed no signs of fracturing, meaning the Wahoo didn't strike a sea mine. Instead, the damage was highly localized. There was a catastrophic breach directly behind the conning tower, with the structural steel peeled outward by a massive external explosion. The forensic evidence corroborated the 1943 Japanese report, proving that an aerial bomb struck the Wahoo at periscope depth, right as it tried to slip through the exit. The United States Navy officially declared the wreck a protected military site. They have no plans to salvage the submarine or enter the hull, leaving the 80 men entombed inside undisturbed. The Wahoo is one of 52 American submarines lost during the war. Over 3,600 submariners lost their lives beneath the waves, a group the Navy refers to as remaining on eternal patrol. The identification of the wreck provided a final answer for the families of those on board. In the Soya Strait, the Wahoo's silence is no longer a matter of historical speculation. It is the final position of a crew that never reached the last exit home.